Live from Studio G, we're ready to kick off another brand new hour here of the Steve Gruber Show, and another brand new day, another brand new free-for-all Friday. Boy, it's good to see you here. Of course, that means that we'll be taking your calls. But remember, the Steve Gruber Show can often have a trigger effect. American pride and enthusiasm can be uncontrollable after being here for a few minutes. Keep that in mind. All right, we're kicking off the live broadcast on Real America's Voice and MTN to a global audience that's growing every day thanks to you. Here are the three big things you need to know. Number one, has the O'Keefe Media Group gotten a smoking gun confession on one of the biggest names in the Jeffrey Epstein underage child sex ring scandal? Well, sure looks that way. Number two, a remarkable revelation. More than 200 people get arrested for being involved in a child porn ring. Yes, they have. And number three, it is Free-for-All Friday. Glad to have you here on a Free-for-All Friday. The phone number, powered by Patriot Mobile, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966 is the number for you to get on the line and be somebody. Of course, we have a brand new pope today. He's from Chicago. Indications are mixed, except to say he appears to likely be another progressive in the mold of the late Pope Francis, another open-border anti-Trump pope. Are you surprised? We'll see how it plays out, but that's the way it looks to begin with. Catholics celebrating globally. Again, the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline is open for business, 877-310-9966. Anywhere in America, anywhere in the world if you want to dial in. But first, there's some humor from President Trump. Listen.
And the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. He's welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. But it's terrible what's happened to the Democrats.
Donald Trump doing one-liners there in the Oval, having a good time doing it. The British ambassador, they're laughing. That was because they were on the phone with the UK putting together the trade deal. Good news, right? Good news. All right, let's get to the phone lines today. Again, 877-310-9966. That's the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline looking for you today. James in Louisiana is first. James, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, sir. How are you?
I am well, and it's Friday, and so therefore it's good. It's spring. I feel good about it. What's on your mind?
All right, sir. You talking about Mike Johnson, all that stuff. We need to relax a little bit, but Mike Johnson, I can't relax so much. He seems to me like he's slow rolling everything, and I just don't have any really confidence in him. 4-day weeks. I wish I could work 4-day weeks all my life, like they're trying to do. And I think they need to change myself personally. And Pete, I think Pete's doing a dynamite job. I'm a retired Marine guy, so I think Pete's doing a damn good job, sir. I'm sorry.
Go. Pete Hegseth. Hegseth. Simplified.
Right.
Thank you, James. Greatly appreciate you. Look, James is echoing the sentiments of a whole lot of folks. Impatience, especially when it comes to Mike Johnson, especially when it comes to the House working 4-day weeks, if they work that much. It's true. 4-day work weeks, if they work that much. I mean, they have more vacation time than, well, no, I guess not more than Joe Biden, but almost as much as Joe Biden used to have, right? It's a concern. But look, I'm going to say, let's stay with the process. I talked about it this week. He's been listening, obviously. I said, let's be patient. But I'm also saying be patient with Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and all the other members of the administration that are just getting, dug in to get some work done for you, the American people. The Transportation Secretary has a lot of work to do. The Secretary of Defense has a lot of work to do. There's no question about a lot of things that have to happen. All right, just to the south of where I am, I find the state of Indiana, and that's where Ed is today. Ed, what's on your mind?
Good morning. Well, I think Trump has got two major problems with a peace deal. And one is our history. You go back to our treaties with the Indians, and the best ones were only good as long as the person was in power, and the worst ones were for political expediency. The second problem he's got is I used the analogy, you take your big friend to a bar, and then you pick a bar fight, and you expect him to fight for you. We've got the European elites that want this war, and
And you're referring to the
continue it.
war in Ukraine, I assume. I assume you're talking of the war in Ukraine.
Yes, the war in Ukraine. You got the European elites that want this war and then we got our more warmongers in Congress here that wants this war, and then you look at somebody
can he get the war stopped? Donald Trump said he'd get the war stopped on day one. Of course, that didn't happen. It was kind of hyperbole. But do you think he can get the war stopped in the next few weeks? They're meeting and talking again, apparently.
The only way you can stop the war is cut all funding for the war, all funding for rebuilding, put a prohibition on our hedge fund people that they can't use retirement money for rebuilding unfriendly countries or corrupt countries like.
I think you've got a lot of reasonable questions. I appreciate the phone call. Here's what. Here's a concern that we have there. The war continues, right? The war continues, and here's the thing that I have. Where is this deal that we apparently signed with Ukraine? Ad posed a lot of important concerns that a lot of us have. Dumping more and more money in, being involved in a war that the warmongers on Capitol Hill want and we don't. But where is the deal that we allegedly signed on rare earth elements? Has anybody seen it? They claim we signed it. Usually if you see a claim that this document's been put together and executed and signed by the United States, signed by whom? And with what provisions? And when does it take effect? And what are the details? I feel like we're being sold a bit of a bill of goods there. What was signed as far as the Ukrainian-American rare earth elements deal? I want more details, a lot more details. Tom is in the great state of Michigan. Lovely place, by the way. Tom, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm real happy that we got Pete Hegseth. I was in the Navy when Ronald Reagan took over. And when Ronald Reagan took over, we went from not saluting officers to saluting instantly, and everything changed. And that's what Pete's doing to the military. He's bringing it back to the way it should be.
Wait a second. Hold on. You're telling me when Jimmy Carter was president, people didn't salute their superior officers? Come on now.
That's right. I was in VXE6. We went to Antarctica, and things were a little lax when I got there for 2 years. I was there for 2 years under Jimmy Carter, and then Ronald Reagan took over, and it changed instantly.
All right, let me ask you one last thing, Tom. Transgenders are out under Pete Hegseth. How do you feel about that?
I am so happy for the military. They can get back to fighting and quit worrying about all that crap. And get them all out.
Take your pronouns and get out of here. All right. Tom, greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the phone call. Still to come. I've got Paul, Kevin, Chris, Jim, Tim, all over America, from Louisiana to Philly and everything in between. I'll be right back. It's Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. right, back to it now on a free-for-all Friday driven by Patriot Mobile's Common Sense Hotline and fired up by 1775 coffee. People ask you, what coffee you drink? 1775 coffee. This is great Bolivian coffee. 100% pure Arabica beans. It's what we drink around here. I like it. I'm kind of a coffee snob. And so there you have it. Let's get back. By the way, 1775coffee.com. You can get some for yourself. It's not weak. It's not corporate. It's bold and loud, just like this program. All right, you're going to love this coffee. 1775 coffee. Promo code's Gruber. All right, Paul, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's on the line. Paul, how are you? What is happening in Pittsburgh?
Good morning, Steve. How's everything in Michigan there?
It's lovely. Spring has finally come. It's a beautiful time of the year. I love it. Everything is in bloom. The mushrooms are out. The walleye are biting. Life is pretty good. What's on your mind?
That's great. That's great. Not surprising that we have more of a progressive pope. Disappointed, of course. We're going to see much more of the same, if not more of it. As a Catholic, I can't help that this guy is definitely anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, anti-everything.
No. He's for some things. He's for an open border, from what I read. There is that. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'm getting misinformation,
No, I said
read
he's
a lot
for an
of
open
stuff on
border.
that.
He's for things that we don't want. Anyhow, go ahead, Paul.
Well, yeah, I know he's a little tougher on homosexuality, which I'm hoping with Francis wasn't. He seemed to kind of like, but it just time will tell. But I just think we're going to still see a lot of liberalism, and the fact that everybody's so excited he's from the United States. It doesn't matter to me if they don't, follow the rules of the church. It's like, what does it matter? Especially Francis, kissing the butt of Obama and Biden and those things. There were too many of those around yet.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen that we're going to still get somewhat a common copy of Francis.
Yeah, which is what we got. Greatly appreciate the call, Paul. Thank you for checking in. We're going to go to the other side of the state, from Pittsburgh to Philly. That's where Kevin is. Kevin, what's on your mind?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Gruber. How are you, sir?
I am well. Thank you for asking. How can I help?
I'm calling in for two reasons. The first point is the legacy media and the TDS that they display is just, it's palatable. It's particularly Bloomberg and the asset people, that every move that Trump makes, they have to analyze, dissect, give you the opinion that you're supposed to be taking from it, and you're supposed to rage on from that and worry. And it's been driving the markets. It's been driving the markets down, but I'm glad to see finally that Trump's pushing through and punching through with these deals, and they every day you turn on Bloomberg, it's just a rewrite of whatever Trump's point is to the opposite, and like the legacy media, and it's just some days it's just hard to take.
You know? The other one, and I appreciate you're exactly right about that, Kevin. The other one and Trump called him out this week, the Wall Street Journal. Well, what has happened to the Wall Street Journal? They've joined their friends at the New York Times and the Washington Post, apparently. It's insane.
And in the Atlantic.
and the Atlantic and all the rest. You're right. Kevin, greatly appreciate the call. Look, the future is looking good today. It says greed is driving the market, which means the market will be up today. It's at 41,500. Pretty close to where it was when the sell-offs came back in April. So all in all, pretty good place for the markets to be. Let me check your other indicators today. The New York Times actually had a headline today. Everything indicates a recession except the data. That's a headline today. Everything indicates a recession except the data, meaning the numbers don't lie, but the New York Times does. That's what it's a strange headline, but it's on their paper today. By the way, gas down again today, 3.14 is the national average. It's down a penny from yesterday, a few cents from a week ago, a dime from a month ago, and more than 50 cents from a year ago. So gas is in a good place, and so are we. Chris in Michigan. He's next. Chris, how are you?
Good. How are yourself, Steve? Hey, I don't want to tie up your lines, but I'll make this quick because I think it's important. promises made, promises kept, and that was both Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk. So, Elon, when are we going to see the audit at Fort Knox and the Federal Reserve banks for the alleged gold bullion we have? And when can they do like a remote test with a pistol to the device? Because did you know that gold and tungsten are basically identical in weight? So you could have that room full of tungsten bars at $20, I think $20 an ounce versus $3,000 an ounce.
Yeah, almost
gold plated. And who's going to know the difference?
Yeah.
So when do we get to see that?
You know, that'd be a good thing. Gold at this moment, $3,329 an ounce. Thanks for the call, Chris. I don't think we're ever going to see it, because this gets clamored about during every administration, and they never get to it. We have not seen inside Fort Knox since 1974 that I'm aware of. 1974, the last time anybody was let in there. Don't hold your breath on that one, because should we? Sure we should. Are we going to? Jim is in New York. Jim, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I just wanted to ask your help, maybe to check into. I heard New York State is going to pay for Letitia James.
Yeah, they snuck that into
criminal
the
bill here.
Let me
isn't that sweet?
Let me get the story here. There's a budget that went through, and somewhere buried back in the budget bill, the New York Post revealed yesterday that all the legal defense of Tish James will be taken care of by the taxpayers of New York. Congratulations, Jim. Go on real quick.
Yes, I just wanted to verify from you if that was true or not, because
what I've read.
Source of trust.
Yeah, that's what I've read.
And it is true.
It is true. According to the New York Post article I read yesterday, it's true that the state of New York, in your budget, you buried the expense of legal fees for Tish James in your bill. Congratulations, New York. You get to pay for a criminal. I'll take a break. It's the Steve Gruber Show. We do appreciate the interaction. I do. I do this in the, I don't know, I guess out of respect for Rush Limbaugh in a way. He had open line Fridays. We have free for all Friday. Taking your calls. I mean, how else are you going to know what's going on in the world and with you guys unless I ask and say, hey, what's up with everybody? What are you thinking? Yeah, you know, the Tish James thing is outrageous. And I appreciate him calling. Is that what you've heard? That's what I've read from the New York Post. I can't believe that. To Cajun country we go. Tim in Louisiana today. Tim, what's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good morning.
Good morning, friend.
Listen, the Columbia students that got arrested, they need to put the pictures of the mugshot of every one of their faces to make sure that tell everybody that's the Democrat Party you're looking at.
Make them famous. Well, make them famous for a reason.
Yes.
You know, they all show up with their masks on and do this and that, but when they get arrested, the masks come off and the handcuffs go on.
Right.
Make them all famous. I agree with you, Tim. Maybe that'll prevent some of these other idiots from pulling the same stunt like they did at Brooklyn College yesterday, but stupidity knows no bounds.
That's right.
That's right. All right, grateful for the call, my friend. Thank you for being on with us in Louisiana. We can get one more call in. Olin, South Carolina. You're going to wrap us out of this section. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. You and Ivy.
Thank you.
Two things, Steve. If Trump wants to stop the war in Ukraine, he needs to tell Zelensky not another bullet or a dime, and he needs to put the screws to Russia's economy and cripple their economy.
I think that's true, but we've already done that. That's why there were no tariffs put on Russia, because there was no point. The sanctions are so tough.
Zelensky didn't sign the rare earth deal. One of his people in his cabinet signed it.
Do we know? Where is that deal? Don't you kind of want to see it?
That's what I'm saying. It hadn't been showed.
Yeah. Why? That seems kind of weird to me. Why? That should be right out front page. Here's our deal. Let me show it to you. Here's what we got out of it. Here's how long it lasts. Here's why it's a good deal. Didn't get any of that. Olin, thank you for the call. Good stuff. Still to come, Steve and Ken, John, and so many more. Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. All right, here we are, diving back into it on a Free for All Friday. Excuse me, taking calls from you all over America. You can be part of this. Join us here in Studio G, the Foxhole of Freedom, looking for you to join us here. And we've got Steve in Idaho. Steve, how are you today?
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, my friend. You're up early out there in the great state of Idaho. Great trout fishing, great elk hunting, great piece of real estate. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Just great people out here, and we're behind you.
Well, appreciate that.
Your show is becoming more and more popular out here.
Good.
I just want to give a shout out to this Jasmine Crockett. She comes off like she's a real person with her fake fingernails and her fake eyelashes and everything else. You know, if I had to say one thing to her, I'd say don't let your bad taste exceed your bad manners, or vice versa. And that's how I'm out of here.
That's it. I greatly appreciate that, Stephen. I applaud Jasmine Crockett. I want her to be out there more. I want to hear from her more often. Yeah. A real prize for the Democrats that keeps on giving Jasmine Crockett. Nathan, set aside bite 6. We might come back to her in case we need some comic relief. All right, John is in California today. John, I appreciate you waiting. You're up early as well, sir. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, how you doing, Steve? Good morning.
Lovely.
Yeah, hey, I have an issue with the voter ID stuff is still going crazy because in California, I don't believe it's as blue as it is because, a couple different things. I finally learned what some of the crap that the Democrats were doing as far as cheating, and now I think they spread it across the nation. So voter ID would take care of that problem if we can get the Republicans to go along with it.
To get it done.
And I think President Trump has to play hardball with them.
Look, you have to have real ID now.
Threatened investigations, whatever.
I agree with you, John. Look, you have to have real ID as of the 7th of May, a couple days ago. To get on an airplane, to fly domestically, you have to have an enhanced piece of identification called real ID. Why wouldn't you have real ID to cast a ballot? What's more important for the future of this country, riding on an airplane or voting? I think real ID is a great idea for real security in our elections. I appreciate the... Let me ask you, John, are you still there? I want to ask you one more thing.
No, he's gone.
Okay, we missed it. All right, thank you, Brock. Because I heard something yesterday, and we're going to be sharing it here on the program. The state of California is going to use eminent domain laws to seize the beaches of Malibu post-fires and big chunks of land as well. They're going to seize the beaches of Malibu, give the property owners, a few cents on the dollar and seize it for themselves to develop or to leave open or to do whatever. The state of California has done it before. They're going to do it again. It's going to happen in Malibu. I told you from day one they were never going to rebuild there. They're never going to rebuild those cities that were burned down. Alameda and Pacific Palisades, never being rebuilt. Not the way they were, not single-family homes. There'll be high-rise apartments and condos. You watch so California can cash in. From California to Florida, Gary is in Florida. Gary, welcome to the program.
Hi, Steve. I have a question. Is there any way that President Trump can make news media responsible for what they say? I remember something about Obama said something or came up with something where they're not responsible for what they say.
Well, he was not responsible for what he said oftentimes. What do you mean by that? Be specific, Gary. The media is not responsible. They've been irresponsible a number of times.
With the most blatant lies. They come out and they slam and they smear the president and everything else, and it's not true.
Yeah.
So why are they allowed to
but
continue
having
doing
said
this?
that, Donald Trump has already won some lawsuits in that regard. His lawsuit against 60 Minutes goes forward. His lawsuit against others goes forward. Donald Trump is winning. I think he's got a lawsuit pending against CNN. I'd have to go. He won one for $20 million. And he's going to win others that are bigger because of the lies that have been told, right? This is significant. But you know what's really embarrassing, and I really appreciate the phone call, Gary. What's really embarrassing is that the folks at the New York Times and the Washington Post hold on to their Pulitzer Prizes for the fake news story, for the Russia collusion story that somehow Donald Trump was involved with the Russians. Completely false. A narrative bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and prizes awarded. based on that. Let's go to Steve. He's in Illinois today. Steve, you're up fairly early. How are you? What's on your mind?
Nobody ever talks about this. And as far as I know, wasn't it Tyson's chicken plant that got rid of all Americans and hired a bunch of illegal immigrants?
Didn't they close a plant in Iowa, right? Didn't they close their plant in Iowa that had been there for generations? I think that's right. And then they moved a plant and brought in a bunch of, now I'm not going to say illegal aliens, but they brought in foreign workers to work at the plant. I believe there's a lot of truth to that. Go on.
And nobody ever talks about it.
You and I just did, which is a good thing. See, that's why we do this Free for All Friday. Important topics like that. Look, there's so much going on, Steve, as you know, that we lose track. Now, Illinois is right next door to Iowa, which means your neighbors got screwed on a deal that was, it was just a little town. I don't remember. I'm going to look it up during the break. This little town, they closed the plant, which was basically it was the complete foundation of employment in that town. Destroyed the town, didn't it? Steve, thank you for bringing that back up.
But we also got J.B. Pritzker, so,
He's a lot more than chicken. He's like he eats
turkey?
anything he wants. Yeah, anyhow, that's a different day. 2-ton JB. All right, we're going to go to Jennifer in Michigan. Yes, I'm picking on the fat guy, J.B. Pritzker. You're darn right I am.
Good morning, Steve.
How are you?
But there's really something wrong with the legislature in Michigan that they voted down voter ID. There's something wrong with these politicians here. We need to kick them out, get somebody that believes in America, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. I'm just damn sick and tired. Another thing, they don't need to spend their life in Washington. They need to go back home to their home state and start getting in touch with the rank and file people that vote every year. But they're afraid to meet us head on.
Amen.
They like to hide.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Jennifer
Bye-bye.
in Michigan, always a pleasure. She's always right. Again, real ID to fly on an airplane, but none to vote? Come on, people. Let's go to Daniel in the Peach State of Georgia. Daniel?
Nope. Daniel's gone. He just hung up. Rich in North Carolina.
How about Rich in North Carolina then? Thank you, Brock. Rich, how are you?
Steve, I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you for asking. What's going on with you?
Hey, well, again, I want to thank you for being a flamethrower of truth. You, Steve Bannon, and the rest of the Ram people.
Thank you.
My day is listening to you guys, and again, I want to thank you for having those wonderful sponsors. Missy and you used my before and after pictures a couple weeks ago.
You're rich. You're rich, 140 pounds lighter, Rich from North Carolina. You're the celebrity Rich. Well done, Rich.
Yeah, that's it. But I want to remind you.
Sorry, I do apologize, my friend. You have to call back in or hold because, well, I'm up against the break. But Rich is a man who went to GruberHealth.com. He lost 140 pounds without using heavy drugs and chemicals. 140 pounds. GruberHealth.com. You can do it.
Tomorrow is happening right now.
right, a couple of things here. First of all, coming up this next weekend in Salt Lake City will be the Man in the Arena Tour. I'll be there. You can find out more at maninthearenatour.com. It's for men only, real men, husbands, fathers, business owners, community leaders who want to get their life put back together. A lot of guys find themselves out of balance a little bit. Their job's going well, but their marriage is a little rough. Or their marriage seems all right, but the business isn't doing right. So to get yourself all together, to get intense with Garrett White, you might have seen him yesterday on the program here. Garrett White, a friend, I'll be there. If you want to join me and Garrett White, you can go to maninthearenatour.com. Some pretty inexpensive options right up to being in the front row and everything in between. Love to see you there. And if you come, seek me out. Hey, Gruber, I see you're here. Boom, shake my hand. I'll shake your hand. I'll see you there. maninthearenatour.com. 7,000 men gathered together to do manly things. Manly, that's my word of the day. I'm going to go back with Rich here. Rich lost 140 pounds using My Pure Health Solutions. He's a guy who went to gruberhealth.com, was kind of a skeptic, and then, well, Rich was not a skeptic after that, was he? Rich, welcome back. I'm really glad to hear your story. Yes, we put your picture up here a week ago on the program, whatever it was. You are a remarkable story. Look, not everybody's going to lose 140 pounds, but I'm so proud of you, my friend. I am. If you follow this program, and I just had a listener send me a note, how long did that take? What did it cost? Look, just go to gruberhealth.com, get a free consultation. You can talk to Missy and the folks over there, and they'll get you hooked up. But I mean, it worked for you in a way that I think blew your mind, didn't it?
Yes, it did, Steve. Missy and the crew are awesome. Everything they tell you is true. They customize a plan for you. God created us as unique individuals, and we've all been through different things. And they do a scan on your body, find out what needs to be repaired, and tailor you a plan that will help you, achieve your goals. And I couldn't be any happier with them.
Yeah, they get to it, and they get it done. So good for you, Rich, and I appreciate you calling in. I really do. You're an inspiration to people, and I appreciate that. Gruberhealth.com if you want to be like Rich, who, by the way, he lost more weight than his wife weighs. She weighs about 130 pounds, he told us last time around. Rich, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. It's good to hear people have success, whatever it is. Whatever it is, have success and feel good about it. All right, Sharon is in Ohio. She's been, by the way, the Common Sense Hotline, brought to you by Patriot Mobile, so you can call in anywhere in America, 877-310-9966, 877-310-9966. Brock will take your phone calls if there are lines available and put you on the air here. This is my ode to Rush Limbaugh, saying thank you, Rush, for being a guy who broke trail for all of us. All right, Sharon in Ohio. Sharon, how are you in the great state of Ohio?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing great. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hey, I am better known as Dobby the Elf, but hey, I just wanted to let you know, I don't know why we can't just use what God gave us as our ID, our thumbprint. I open my phone with it. I do a lot of things, they take your thumbprint when they arrest you. I don't know why we can't just have some machine that we just put our thumb on when we're going to vote that just tells people who we are, so they know exactly who's voting and whether or not you're able to vote in that precinct.
I like that
I just don't
idea.
get that.
That's simple. Look, they have little thumb scanners, all sorts. Like you said, that's how they do fingerprints now. I think the fingerprint, they don't have all that ink and stuff they used to have. They have like a glass panel you put your hand on, right? It scans your hand, boom, says you
That's
scan.
right, yep.
That's how it works now.
Like I say, you open your phone with it. Most people open their phone with their thumbprint, so why can't we just do that when we vote or get on an airplane for that matter? They know who you are that way. I mean, you can't tell me they don't have that kind of.
Of course they do. I mean, they can take a picture of my face and do biometrics of this dot this. There's a scan of my face. I am who I am. Look at my eyes. My thumb's the same way. You're exactly right, Sharon. Seems like a pretty simple thing to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Greatly
That's all
appreciate
I have to say to you today, sir. God bless. God bless you, and you have a great day.
God bless you, young lady. Thank you for calling in. Again, 877-310-9966. I've been looking at this, and I had this on my list for today, and I want to get to it because, Jasmine Crockett is the gift that keeps on giving. It's bite number 6 there, Nathan. Go ahead and tune that up for the folks, would you?
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. And it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be. But baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got
little
the
doses
neo-Nazis.
of Jasmine Crockett, just enough to make you know that she's still insane. All right. Harry is in North Carolina. Harry, how are you today?
I'm fine. I asked you a question about a month ago about Obama and the gold. Did you ever find out anything?
You know, we don't know. We were having questions about Fort Knox again today as well. Where was the gold? What was refresh my memory. What was your question with Obama and the gold?
Yeah. What was my question?
Yeah, about gold.
Gold missing.
Well, yeah,
there.
that same question was asked today. I think they said that tungsten. Look, I don't know that. I appreciate the phone call. I don't know that we're ever going to get into Fort Knox. Don't know about that. Don't know if that's ever going to happen. Don't know if we're ever going to figure out if the gold was here, not here. Was it Obama? Was it Bush? Was it Clinton? Was it whoever? I don't think we're ever going to know. Let's see. Can we get Martine in? Martine, you can make a comment real quick from Georgia.
Yeah, hey, Steve, I don't know if Jeff Courier got you a copy of my suit in the federal court. I filed it yesterday. I tried to send it to you, and I guess I don't have your right email. Maybe he doesn't either. How do we get this to you? Because I need help with this.
Here you go. You ready? Here's how you send me an email. Anybody listening. Info at SteveGruber.com. Info at SteveGruber.com. Send me an email, America. I'll read your, if you don't want to call on Free for All Friday, I'll read your letters on the air. I'll be right back. right, here we go, rolling into it again. I want to get to Terry in Missouri. The Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966, powered by my good friends at Patriot.
Steve, how are you this morning?
Mobile. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
I wanted to see what your thoughts are on treason. Do we still prosecute for treason anymore in this country? Because just what the Biden administration and the Democrats have done with illegals entering our country and some of them committing really heinous crimes, is anybody getting prosecuted for treason anymore?
Well, no, because I'm going to go right to it. Article 3, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. This will answer it for you. It's a very narrow definition in America, at least at the federal level. And here it is. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court.
Well, that's really interesting. I'm surprised.
It's a very narrow definition, and you have to, but it could be argued, but it wouldn't be easy that you're levying war against America by having open borders. That you're giving aid and comfort to the enemy by allowing them to bring in fentanyl, but it's not an easy argument. There's your United States Constitution. Everybody should have one. That's why I enjoy my friends at Hillsdale College. Thank you for the call. Hillsdale, from time to time, will give away free pocket constitutions. You should get one. In the meantime, did you know that scammers can steal your house right up from under you? FBI calls it house stealing. They go in, they fill out some paper, they go down to the county, they present it. Suddenly, your title is no longer your title. And with that in their hand, they can take money out against your home's equity. They can steal you blind. HomeTitleLock.com is here to protect you. I use HomeTitleLock.com. I have for years. This is something that means that my title that I never look at and don't pay attention to is safe when I'm not paying attention. In this interconnected world, thieves are everywhere. They're teeming on the internet. Be careful. Get a free title history report and get your free TitleLock.com examination. It's worth $250. All you have to do is go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You can get started today, and then you can go on and get free peace of mind. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. I'll continue on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, lighting the fuse on another big hour of the Steve Gruber Show on a Free for All Friday. Thank you for being here. God bless America. We're ready to get things going here. And remember, this can have a triggering effect on you. You might have a real burst of enthusiasm about America and have real patriotic feelings running through your veins for the next several hours. That's the triggering effect of the Steve Gruber Show. You'll enjoy it on a Free for All Friday. Here are 3 big things you need to know. Number 1, the Department of Justice has launched a criminal investigation into Tish James, being investigated. The New York Attorney General. Apparently, also, the state of New York is going to pay all her legal bills. They snuck that into a budget proposal. Number 2, Pete Hegseth hitting back over a professor who resigned from West Point. We'll tell you about that. And number 3, it is Free for All Friday. Free for All Friday. The Common Sense Hotline, powered by Patriot Mobile, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. Love to hear from you today. We've got a couple of folks that have been patient. It's Paul in Pennsylvania first. Paul, how are you today?
Oh, I'm just fair to middling. Merry Christmas, America.
There you go.
Some of you might not recognize me from Jeff Coer's program, but Hegseth, just tell that there professor goodbye. Don't go pandering to him. Let him go. Get rid of him. He retired. Well, don't even worry about him. Quit putting him in the news. He's a waste.
Yeah, he's gone.
But, well, that's good. We don't need people like that. Now, as far as into, do you hear about, what's the story on Fetterman? Why they want to have a mental, they want to send him out to get him checked out for mental acuities.
Well, apparently he's having meltdowns in front of people, Paul. He's having these where he's over talking to himself and, everybody hates me and why is everybody picking on me? Literally saying these things. And apparently from the inner circle, they say that he's combative. He is confrontational, mad as hell at people. They think that he is, a real problem is what they think. And so here's the problem for the Democrats. It'll mean they'll have another seat to defend if he leaves. Right?
Yeah, but it's the Democrats that are putting him through that because they're telling him that he has to toe the line or be, but he doesn't want to. He wants to be his own man. He ought to learn to just tell them to, hey, hug a root, big boys. Let me alone. I'm my man, not yours.
Yeah, well, what they're saying is that he has not been the same person since that stroke that he suffered during the campaign of 2022, so it was a lot more severe than people were told, and that he never recovered properly or completely and is a different human being. I don't know, Paul, it's just what I'm told. Thank you for the call. Greatly appreciate it.
Estill is gone. Estill is gone.
Oh, all right, so Estill is gone. So I want to go, listen, 877-310-9966 is the Common Sense Hotline. Anywhere in America, you can join me today, 877-310-9966, the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Patriot Mobile, by the way, America's only Christian conservative wireless network. And it's a great network. It's what we use here. Ivy and I have for a very long time. Now, Joe Biden was on The View yesterday, I guess. And he was asked about his cognitive abilities and people that were saying that it was covered up. He says, well, that's just, I'm going to give you part of the answer here. It's something you need to hear. One more gem from Joe Biden on The View. Here it is.
Unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And, one of the things and
Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us. And they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone, reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop.
Don't believe any of that, do you? I don't believe any of that. Here it is, and here's the way I'll just flesh it out for you a little bit. You see, Joe was asked about his cognitive abilities, and he said, there's nothing to it. It's just not true. He attempts to answer the question and cannot, and then Jill jumps in and talks for the next 2 or 3 minutes, bails him out, and that's the way it always was. Well, Jill was always working, and Jill was doing this, and I'd be in my bed reading, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Further proving that Joe Biden was not capable of being president of these United States. There it is, on display, on The View. Can't even hide it there. Can't even hide it there, and so there's some conversation, by the way, that the recording of Joe Biden, I'm gonna pull this up for you real quick. The recording of Joe Biden's interview, they're talking about releasing it. And what investigation was that? With Robert Hur. I just had to go back and remember. It was Robert Hur was the prosecutor. And this would explain everything. The Trump administration, this is from ABC News. The Trump administration considering releasing the audio of former President Joe Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur during Hur's 2023 investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents. Trump's White House lawyers were provided the audio tape by the Department of Justice weeks ago. The transcript of the interviews released in 2024, so the release of the audio wouldn't reveal anything new that Biden told the special counsel, but it would be the first time Biden is himself heard on tape. This is going to be very telling. That's why they would release it to say, look, the Democrats lied to you over and over again. The release would come as the Trump administration is also fighting to keep former special counsel Jack Smith's report on Trump's handling of classified documents under wraps. Expose one, hide the other. Hur's year-long probe into Biden's handling of classified documents ended with no criminal charges being recommended because the evidence was not sufficient to support a conviction, Hur said. However, the 388-page report Hur release created a political firestorm because the special counsel described Biden as someone who would appear to the jury, you'll remember this, to appear to the jury as an elderly man with a poor memory. Yeah, they're going to release that tape. I'm almost certain of it. They will release that and carpet bomb any sense that the Bidens were, that Joe Biden was in control at all. Here's something you've heard, a couple of things. Capitalism is evil, and capitalism is freedom. Can you define capitalism? It's a good question. If everyone's talking about it, shouldn't you at least understand it? That's where Hillsdale College comes in, offering a brand new free online course, Understanding Capitalism. Please take a look. In just 7 fascinating lectures, you'll dive into profit, loss, human nature, and freedom, and why capitalism is not a system of greed, a system rather of morality and liberty. And that's just one of over 40 free online courses that Hillsdale offers. No tuition, no strings. All you have to do, go to gruberforhillsdale.com. gruberforhillsdale.com. We love Hillsdale College and their free online courses. gruberforhillsdale.com. Learn something today. I'll be right back. All right, as you know, the smoke changed color yesterday from black to white, probably about as fast as I've ever seen it happen, that's for sure. Only 4 votes before a new pope was put forward. A pope from the United States for the first time ever. Joining now is Matthew Schmaltz. He is a professor of religious studies at Holy Cross. That's in Massachusetts, of course. Holy Cross, the first Catholic college in New England, if I'm not mistaken. Professor, thank you for being here.
Great to be with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Am I right about that? It was the first Catholic college in all of New England, I believe.
Yes, you are correct. It
number of
was
years ago.
established as the Catholic Harvard, and so we have a long, treasured history.
Yeah, I know a young woman attending Holy Cross even today. So there you have it. All
Oh,
right, so
wow.
a new pope. The smoke turned white. 4 votes only, 24 hours. And they bring in Cardinal Robert Prevost to become Pope Leo the 14th. First, your knee-jerk response. Well, first thoughts.
My first response actually was one of utter shock and disbelief, because I didn't think an American could be elected as Pope. I didn't think I would see that in my lifetime. But in thinking about the election and thinking about the qualities that Robert Prevost brings to the position, it's a choice that makes a lot of sense, because he's not your typical, or he wasn't your typical American cardinal. He has a much broader range of experience, and so choosing him makes a lot of sense within this global context.
One of those experiences would be the time spent in Peru, I would assume. So he has a lot of experience in South America. Obviously, Catholicism in South America is incredibly large and incredibly important to the church as a whole. He was also basically the right hand of Pope Francis for the last number of years. Very important and very influential, but in terms of being a cardinal, he'd only been a cardinal for a year and a half, very young in that. So that's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it is surprising on a number of levels, but I think you identified something that's really important. Pope Francis, in addition to elevating Robert Prevost to cardinal, made him the leader of the dicastery for bishops. So it's in some ways, I think Pope Francis set him up to be in a position of prominence when time came to choose Pope Francis' successor. So he has had, just an incredible career that's really varied, and he's kind of a bridge between the North and the South, between the Catholic North and the Catholic South, at a time when that's really needed within the Catholic Church.
Well, here's something else that came up, and you tell me where this fits into the conversation. But the Catholic Church there in the Vatican, clearly some financial problems. Cash found in paper bags and issues there. And it's no secret, the biggest cash cow for the Catholic Church is the United States. And maybe this helps the money flow, and I don't mean to be to lower it to that level, but there are some considerations given to the financial stability of the church, and will this bring a windfall? That's been posed by folks. What do you say?
Well, it's not as though the Pope is exactly like the CEO of a corporation, but you're exactly right to point out that there are financial considerations. I think what's important in this regard is that Prevost, now Leo the 14th, has shown himself to be a good manager. And so he's not just a charismatic figure. He's not just someone who theorizes theologically and so forth. He has real down-to-earth management experience, both in the Augustinian order and in the Vatican as head for the dicastery of bishops. So hopefully this will bring some stability to Vatican finances. But as you mentioned, they're always on the brink of bankruptcy. So it's never a pretty picture when you look at the way money flows in the Vatican.
Right. And so Leo the 13th, a very transformative figure in the end of the 19th century going into the 20th century. Do you think that has, do you think becoming Leo the 14th is symbolic of the transformational Pope at the end of the 19th century?
Yes, and I think you're really right on to identify that. Pope Leo the 13th wrote a famous and massively influential encyclical or letter called Rerum Novarum, where he talked about workers' rights and really laid the blueprint for later Catholic thinking about social justice. And so it's clear, at least to me, that Leo XIV is going to draw upon that legacy and emphasize Catholic issues when it comes to social justice during a new age that we have now that is beset by violence and division, in which a voice for peace, I think, is really necessary.
Which brings me back to the most, I only have about a minute left here, the most pointed question here for a lot of folks disappointed that they were hoping for a more conservative pontiff. What they've gotten is an extension of Pope Francis, maybe. We never know until we get, a year or two, 10 years into this. He's only 69, good chance he'll be around for a while. Some Catholics wanted a more conservative pontiff. I'll give you the last word on that.
Well, I think we should expect to be surprised. I think certainly it is the case that in his initial remarks, Leo XIV echoed many of the themes of Pope Francis, but he will chart out his own trajectory. And I think it's really important to emphasize that when we talk in the United States about conservative Catholics or liberal Catholics and so forth, those don't map that well onto the diversity of the global Catholic Church. And so I think from some perspectives, he won't be liberal enough for people, just as for some people, he won't be conservative enough. That's inevitably the price you pay for being in a worldwide leadership position like the papacy.
Fair enough. Matthew Schmaltz, Professor, Religious Studies at Holy Cross. I greatly appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. That should give you some perspective on Pope Leo XIV. Pope Leo XIV. And for Catholics globally, a day of celebration. We'll be right back. It's good to have you on a Friday. It's good to be here on a Friday. It's good to be here on a Friday in the springtime. Look, I have this most spectacular yard. People we bought this house from, they planted all sorts of wild things. I have a sequoia tree, a deciduous evergreen. Yeah, that's just as silly as it sounds. It's a contradiction, but it throws its needles every year. In fact, the first year I was saying, well, that tree died, and I called the former homeowner. He said, no. That tree's fine. It throws its needles every year. It does? Yeah, it's a sequoia tree of some sort. And a bunch of other things. But our yard is flowering one way or the other all year long, and it's doing it today. I mean, we've got purple, we've got pink, we've got everything you can imagine out there. White flowers, pink flowers, purple flowers. It's just spectacular. Bursting with life. I love our yard in the middle of May. We've even got trillium out there. Yeah, growing in the yard, which I think is kind of cool. So nice to have you along for the conversation. Hope spring's everything you hoped it to be as well. This part of the program is brought to you by my good friends at the Wellness Company. The Wellness Company has put together terrific kits for you. And did you know that 60 million Americans also have a problem with parasites? And that's scary. They invade your body, wreaking havoc on your gut, energy level, even your brain. And in fact, I'm doing this cleanse. It's the hottest thing going. I'm going to do this cleanse. The mainstream medical community, they don't care about it much. They don't want you thinking about this because one great cleanse can change your life. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin and mebendazole. FDA-approved parasite solutions now combined in one cleanse combination. Just fill out a brief medical intake form. Get your 3-month supply. A lot of parasite cleanses are all over social media, but not the gold standard level. Make America Healthy Again is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life, right? Go to twc.health/Gruber. Use that promo code Gruber. You'll save $60 off the package, plus free shipping. Don't wait. Cleanse your body today. That's right. twc.health/Gruber. $60 off. Free shipping. It's the parasitic cleanse. It is the gold standard. Mine should be here today. I'm going to give you a full report coming up. I'll be right back. All right, here we go on a free-for-all Friday. Of course, we routinely speak with our friend and Congressman Tim Walberg. He represents Michigan's 5th Congressional District. He's here with me today. Congressman, nice to have you back on the program. Thank you for being here.
Good to be with you. It's been a good week.
It's been a busy week, of course, for Catholics across the country, the world, and your district. Interesting week as a new pope has been selected, the first American pope. Surprising a lot of folks, but not everyone. He was a bit of a dark horse, but he rose in just 4 votes to become Pope. Kind of interesting there.
Yeah, it is, and it's always a bit of intrigue when a pope is selected. It's interesting, of course, to have an American pope, and in my case, he grew up down the street from me in the Dalton area, South Holland, Calumet City, south side of Chicago,
right,
where my wife and I grew up. So it is interesting to have that.
You walk the same streets with the Pope. Yeah, you walk the same streets. Yeah.
Well, growing up in a Polish neighborhood, there I was a minority as far as a religious minority because he was predominantly Catholic, strong Catholic, very conservative Catholic. So it'll be interesting to see how this Pope develops, whether he takes the traditional values and principles of the Catholic Church that I certainly knew as I was growing up alongside of my schoolmates, and in the shadow of numerous conservative Catholic churches there in those communities. So we'll see what happens. I hope he takes a strong stance on the common sense,
we'll see,
real world scientific principles and everything else.
He has, we'll see. He took the name Leo the 14th. Leo the 13th can give us some indications. He was in fact, maybe the most politically active pope up into that time, when he served from 1878 to 1903. And so there's a tea leaf to be read there. He believed in social justice, political sociology. The first pope that really did that was Pope Leo the 13th, and I think Pope Leo the 14th probably going to follow suit in that. I think that a lot of Catholics are going to be disappointed because he's not particularly conservative, and he's not going to be particularly conservative. And I think he's a guy who, based on social media posts, yes, we have a pope that posts on social media, or did, seems to endorse open borders and is not a fan of Donald Trump, from what I can gather. So there you've got that for you. So that we'll see what happens.
Or JD, or JD Vance.
Or JD Vance, for that matter. We'll see. Look, I'll not predict the road ahead, but I can say tea leaves indicate more of the same, maybe even more left swinging of the church, which I think is surprising based on the South American Catholics really were hoping for, and they're the largest body, we're hoping for more conservative. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, we're talking about this. It's springtime in Michigan. It's beautiful out there. I was talking about this before the break. My yard is exploding with flowers, and it's just gorgeous this time of the year. But that also means that motorcycle riders are back out, and I bring this to people's attention because you've got a resolution out there, bipartisan, bicameral, you and your colleagues raising awareness for motorcycle safety. And for people that don't know, you're a guy who rides that Harley on one wheel through the middle of town sometimes. Okay, maybe not that. But you are a bike rider.
Let's not get that out.
Yeah, you are a motorcycle rider, correct?
I am, and I am the co-chairman of the House Motorcycle Caucus as well, and Gary Peters is the co-chairman in the Senate of the Motorcycle Caucus, so that's one issue that the Senator and I agree on very strongly, and both are Harley riders also. But yeah, we are promoting look twice, save a life approach. Cyclists are getting out. If for those of us that think that we can save fuel by using the motorcycle and can enjoy our lives as well, we would appreciate the motoring public to notice us, to respect that we have a definite right to be on the roads, and we add something. If you're concerned about the climate and all of the rest, we certainly use less fuel, and so watch out for us. When I'm on my Harley these days and I pull up to a stop sign and I smell that terrible weed of marijuana, and know that also people are driving distracted and smoking marijuana
Stoned
at the same time. It's an encouragement to know that we have people that are promoting being aware, and I'm one of those.
All right, so let me take that to springboard into the next conversation, and that is the tariffs. Maybe the tariffs will create more motorcycle manufacturing. You ride a Harley, of course, that's an American motorcycle, but most motorcycles, whether they're Hondas or Yamahas or whatever they might be, built outside of this country. Maybe I'm seeing business come back to America. I'm seeing the president sign a deal with the UK. or they will be here shortly. It's all put together, a couple of details to work out. First big trading partner, the tariffs seem to be paying off. Honda's going to be building cars in Indiana. Hyundai's going to be building cars in Arizona. Maybe some of these motorcycle companies can come here and build bikes, and maybe you'd be more inclined to buy a bike built in America. Maybe a lot of people would. What do you think?
You know, absolutely. I mean, Honda used to make their big Goldwing in Ohio. Then they moved it all back to Japan. I'd like to see it come back here. I'm not a proponent for any one specific motorcycle. I love motorcycles. I 2 years ago restored a 1970 Honda CT90 trail bike. I love the little thing. But it would be great to see that production take place back in the United States, as we've seen other auto companies. BMW builds thousands of cars here in the United States. So Toyota, the same way. You know, just formerly in my district, the largest R&D center that Toyota has in the United States is here in York Township, just south of Ann Arbor. So we want to see it return, and what we're seeing so far is that very case. And I'm hearing daily. Just yesterday, I got another email from an accountant who said that a business I had visited last year had noticed a significant uptick in return of customers for his business that he had lost for quite some time to foreign companies. That was encouraging to him, and I think it's showing that while the national media won't report it, Trump's approach to tariffs and saying, "Listen, we're gonna work fairly with the world, but you haven't worked fairly with us, and it's time to change, and it's not going to happen overnight, and there will be challenges and disruptions, but in the end, I think we're going to see great benefit come from the policies that simply say, you're not taking advantage of us anymore, world. We want to work with you. We will purchase your products, but you've got to do the same for us." And so we'll see what happens. But I'm encouraged daily with what we're hearing from actual people in the field. Our farmers, I'm sure excited to see some of the things that are proposed in this deal with the UK.
Sure.
It could provide some significant help to our agricultural community.
All true. Exports, opening up ag exports to the UK in a way we haven't seen probably in my lifetime. Congressman, I got to leave it there for today, but there is a lot of positive out there. And the first big trading partner to come to the table, well, they've done well, the UK. Others will follow, I'm quite sure. Congressman Tim Walberg, thank you for being here. Beautiful Friday to you, my friend.
Have a beautiful, pure Michigan weekend.
There you have it. Congressman Tim Walberg. By the way, I don't ride motorcycles. My attention span is far too short for that to be safe, but I did go look at the brand new Honda Goldwing. It's a beautiful piece of machinery. It really is. I'm not going to ride one, but I will look twice to make sure you're safe on yours. I'll be right back. It is here on my notes. My mistake. Well, we were just talking about the new deal with the UK, with the congressman there just a moment ago, and that means that we're going to be opening up new markets in the UK for American agricultural products like beef, for example. Join me now from a piece of agricultural equipment is Todd Armstrong. He's owner of Armstrong Cattle and Crops. Look at him. He's right there in the tractor, one of those computer-driven pieces of wonderment. He's in southern Indiana. Todd, nice to have you on the program.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you.
All right, so what is that thing you're driving right there?
So I am in a 6130M John Deere, getting ready to mow some hay, actually, the first hay of the year.
I'm going to start with Moline, Illinois. I believe that's the place where John Deere has been made famous, and that green color on your tractor. They have moved a lot of production out of this country. Tariffs are pushing them to bring construction and manufacturing back to America. What do you think about that? First of all, John Deere being brought back to America in large part.
No, I think that's great. I mean, I think products that are produced here in the United States are typically more reliable, and so I'd rather buy, from companies that produce here in the United States. So I'm glad it's forcing them to come back and not just to make the, to get the cheapest parts that they can. I'd rather get quality made parts.
Rather have John Deere made in America and not Mexico, is what you're saying, Todd. All right, so let's talk about this UK deal. Ag, beef. What do you produce there in Fredericksburg, Indiana?
So we raise corn, soybeans, hay, alfalfa, and then primarily Angus cattle. We have about 100 mama cows and about 200 total cattle on the farm at all times.
So how many head do you slaughter a year?
So as far as ours on slaughter, we probably do about 20 head per year is what we slaughter. We sell a lot of bulls and heifers for breeding stock as well.
Gotcha. So you're setting up other folks to produce beef. But having said that, all right, so this deal comes to us from Donald Trump and the UK. First ones to come to the table to put the tariffs aside and to open up their markets to American agricultural products. What do you think of that? What's your first thought?
No, I think that's great. I mean, I think free, open trade, free access is the best way. I mean, every farmer would rather have free trade and make money and be profitable than getting a government handout. And so anytime we can open up a new access and a new trade, it's great for everyone. It's great for the farmers and great for all Americans. And I'm just happy to have the opportunity.
Well, a lot of folks, I mean, Donald Trump has been the focus of a lot of criticism about the tariffs. A lot of folks on the left criticizing him about how it was hurting American farmers and so forth. But if this deal is indicative of what's to come, if we get similar deals with the EU or with Canada, Mexico, China, South Korea, wherever we can export our agricultural products, it'll be boom times for farmers, won't it? That'll be good news, won't it?
It'll be boom time for all Americans. And we've been getting, excuse my French, screwed for the last 40 years on tariffs from other countries. So, and Donald Trump's been working on this for 100 days. And people are they want quick
They want instant gratification is what they want. They just want to be gratified immediately, right?
Instant gratification. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I just would encourage people to have a little patience, and you can see the deals are starting to happen.
Todd, you sound like me yesterday on the program. I was talking about all of that. Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump. Give them time to work, folks. People are demanding, where are the Epstein files? Why do we not have deals with our trading partners? Well, because you just pointed out quite aptly, Todd, we've been getting screwed for years, decades in many cases. It takes a long time to push that clutter off the table and start building something new, and I think we're getting there. But so you're optimistic, though, about what you're seeing.
I'm extremely optimistic. I mean, in 100 days to already have a deal like this and several others lined up to do it. No, I'm extremely optimistic, and I think inflation with these energy prices starting to come down. I think inflation will come down. And I'm very optimistic about the future and really look forward to it.
What else would you like to see out of the? I mean, here's one thing I know: diesel fuel is cheaper, which is important for farmers since Trump took over. Energy, his focus on energy, incredibly important. A tremendous amount of energy is used to farm, although far less than we did, say, in 1985, comparatively speaking. We take less energy and less fertilizer and less resources to produce more corn, more beans than we ever have per acre. Right or wrong?
The American farmer is the most efficient farmer in the world. And just to have the opportunity to sell our product worldwide openly and freely, I think is a great opportunity, and you're exactly right. I mean, the lower we can get our cost of energy, the better it is for all Americans and especially American farmers.
And there you have it. By the way, I had to go look up what a 6130M looked like. Nice piece of equipment. Four-wheel drive. It's got a air conditioning and heat and stereo system and all of it. And you can probably push a few buttons and it'll drive itself, won't it? Oh, we lost him. That's too.
Yes,
there
sir.
he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes, sir. I can. It's a nice vehicle, and they do, and it's American innovation. We create great things.
We do create great things, Todd. I love the smile on your face when you say that. I appreciate you being here. Beautiful tractor. We want the John Deere's built in America. We want American corn, beans, cattle, pigs, chickens, whatever. We want them shipped all over the world. Best in the world and the best farmers in the world. Todd Armstrong, really a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There you have it. It is a beautiful tractor. Ivy, I'd like to have this tractor. I mean, it is a stud, this 6130M. Might be more than we need, but who cares? I mean, it's got flashing lights on top, the kind you can drive down the road and irritate a whole line of traffic behind you. I mean, that's the kind of tractor I want, so you can just have people. Why is that guy doing that? He's farming. Anyhow, that guy was great. Todd Armstrong. Right there in the cab of his tractor, getting her done. I loved it. All right, we'll take a break. I'm all fired up for tractors now. I'll be fired up for sports with Brock after the break. our Friday. Time to check in on sports with our good friend Brock Palmbush. Here he is.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. In the NBA playoffs last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves evened up their Western Conference semifinal series at one game apiece with a 117-93 victory over Golden State last night in Minnesota. Julius Randle led the T-Wolves with 24 points. Game 3 of the series tomorrow in San Francisco. In the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, Washington took Game 2 of their Eastern Conference semis over Carolina 3-1. Series all even at 1. Tom Wilson had a goal and an assist for the Capitals. Game 3 tomorrow in Carolina. And Leon Draisaitl scored at 15:20 of overtime to give the Edmonton Oilers a 5-4 victory over Vegas to take Game 2 of their Western Conference semifinal series. Oilers up 2-0. Game 3 is tomorrow in Edmonton. In Major League Baseball yesterday, American League winners included Boston, Toronto, and Minnesota. National League winners included Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Arizona. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. All right, so the Karen Reed trial has fascinated me some in Massachusetts, right? But a Massachusetts State Police sergeant who played a key role in the investigation that led to Karen Reed's original mistrial on murder charges testified Thursday that early on he told others that he thought John O'Keefe, the victim, may have been hit in the face with a cocktail glass, a bar glass, causing injuries to his face and head. Investigators, however, alleged that Reed had struck her Boston cop boyfriend with the back of her Lexus SUV and then fled the scene. Yeah. Well, defense lawyer Alan Jackson got State Police Sergeant Yuri Buchanek to concede on Thursday that he called the medical examiner's office and said there was a possibility that O'Keefe had been hit in the face with a cocktail glass. At 10:41 a.m., you called the medical examiner's office to inform them that Mr. O'Keefe's, quote, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, or at least appeared to be, correct? That is, in part, what I advised the medical examiner's office, where they are responsible for the medical portion of it. But Jackson cut him off, objecting during his own line of questioning after a brief sidebar. Told the witness to do his best to answer the questions he was asked and nothing more. Yeah, that blew a big hole in the prosecution's case. It's called reasonable doubt. I'll take a break and be back. Free for All Friday. Good to have you here. You want to call in 877-310-9966. Kicking off another brand new hour of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you along on a free-for-all Friday. You are being warned. There is a trigger warning here. We might invoke patriotism and God-loving, American-supporting ideas that may be carrying with you for the rest of the day, week, month, or for the rest of your life. You've been warned. Welcome to the program on a free-for-all Friday. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, John Fetterman. The reports are in. John Fetterman, not a well man, the senator from Pennsylvania. We'll talk about that. Number two, from Michigan News Source, brand new early evidence suggests that dumb-sum cuts to education won't have much impact in the classroom, much to the chagrin of the Democrats. And number three, private home caregivers being classified last year as public sector employees, now giving unions the green light to come in and basically steal from people. That's the way I read it. This is also from Michigan News Source. If you want really interesting stories, go to MichiganNewsSource.com. MichiganNewsSource.com. Okay, so here it is. Dateline Lansing. This is from J.P. Isbell. Great writers. Tom Gantert, J.P. Isbell, Katie Hyde. There's a group of writers at Michigan News Source that just outdo themselves every single day, and so many more. Just when Michigan's home caregivers thought they were free from the clutches of union dues and deductions, the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, has dusted off its old playbook, writes J.P. According to the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, the controversial dues skim, a practice where union dues are automatically deducted from Medicaid payments to home caregivers, it's making an unwelcome comeback for those caregivers who are receiving stipends from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The strategy was stopped all the way back in 2012 after they had siphoned about $34 million from caregivers, but it's being revived because of Public Act 144 of 2024. New Democrat legislation signed by Governor Whitmer in the fall of 2024 classifies individual home help caregivers as public employees. How is that even possible? I don't know, but it does. Puts them as public employees, right? And the legislation allows the newly established Home Help Caregiver Council to obtain a list of caregivers' names, home addresses, telephone numbers, and personal email addresses, and use that to target them to create a union. A union. The SEIU, according to a report from the Michigan Capital Confidential, is using that information to send their people to the homes of caregivers and sending union solicitations through the mail. Their goal, to make the SEIU the sole representative of the state's community of home care providers. Home care, in-home care providers, making you a public employee. The SEIU is collecting signatures to unionize them, many of whom are family members providing essential care to a disabled or ill loved one. You're taking care of your spouse, you're going to get tracked down by the union. The union promises better pay and benefits, but there is a catch. They lack the authority to negotiate wages or employment terms because those are set by the state. Critics like the Michigan Capital Confidential argue that the primary beneficiary of this move is the union itself, to gain millions of dollars in dues without offering tangible benefits of any kind to the caregivers. Tammy Martin, a Michigan mother and former nurse who now cares for her severely disabled son, spoke out against the unionization push in an interview with independent journalist Dave Bondi, drawing from her own family's experience. Martin recalled how her mother was enrolled in the SEIU without consent when she was a caregiver for her sister years ago. Martin said about her mom, she never saw any benefits, no pay increase, and couldn't even get out of the union. They just took money from her check every month. Yes, sir. The SEIU trying to put its straw into the pot of money, which would, in my estimation, probably lower the level of care because you're lowering the amount of money available for care. And the people that are forced into the union get nothing out of it. I'll let you read the article. MichiganNewsSource.com. MichiganNewsSource.com. There you go. Let's see here. From Tom Gantert, we get this at MichiganNewsSource.com. And this is the headline. Early evidence suggests Trump's cuts to education will have not much impact on classrooms. State politicians and education lobbyists have expressed concerns over proposed reductions in federal funding to schools made by President Donald Trump. But much of the evidence suggests that the budget reductions proposed by Trump and even the elimination of the U.S. Department of Education itself won't have much impact on Michigan classrooms. And that doesn't surprise me at all. For instance, Mike Rounds, Republican Senator, South Dakota, introduced a bill to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. This legislation does not cut a dollar of education funding. Rather, funds will continue to flow directly to states in the form of block grants with other critical programs funded through the appropriate federal agencies, Rounds wrote in a press release. Eliminating the bureaucracy at the Department of Education will save approximately $2.2 billion per year in taxpayer dollars. The Trump administration also released a document that sheds some light on what cuts they are making to education. The recommended funding levels result from a rigorous line-by-line review of the fiscal year 2025 spending, which was found to be laden with spending contrary to the needs of ordinary working Americans and tilted toward funding niche non-governmental organizations and institutions of higher education. Committed to radical gender and climate ideologies, antithetical, I should say, to the American way of life, this new simplified funding structure requires fewer federal staff and empowers states and districts to make spending decisions based on their needs, consistent with the recent reduction in workforce and executive orders. The new approach allows states and districts to focus on the core subjects, math, reading, science, history, without the distractions of DEI and weaponization from the previous administration. Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good to me. What say you? The budget document also states that it delivers on the president's promise by preserving full funding for Title I, the supplemental federal financial assistance to school districts for children from low-income families. The Democrats are saying they're destroying education. No, they're saving $2.2 billion that can be spent on education, on the kids, on low-income kids. Come on, people. Cutting the government is a good thing. Getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse is a good thing. How anybody could argue otherwise is really kind of beyond me. I've got to be honest with you. It's just really kind of beyond me. Let's see here. Steve Doolin. He's coming up next. The National Firearms Act. Both Shush and Parts Acts appear to be alive and moving forward. Silencers and the National Firearms Act. What does that mean? We'll tell you about that. And then later, Congresswoman Kat Cammack of Florida will be here. She represents Florida's 3rd congressional district. We'll talk about maternal health, government oversight, health care savings, defunding NPR, protecting women's sports, emerging technologies, and so much more, all right? It's all coming up in this hour of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board. We'll be back. look at it, a lot of disappointment from the crowd this morning as they will not be seeing Steve Doolin, the best-looking attorney and professor in the history of the world. He'll have to go by phone today because there seems to be a power issue at his hotel today, but he has a lot of brilliance to share with us. Doolin, welcome to it.
Hey, Gruber.
No power? What's going on? Where are you?
Well, as you know, sometimes I like to do my Kwai Chang Caine impression and roam the earth. And I did manage to power my phone off my laptop last night. So the phone is up and running, and it looks like the crews got busy just a little while ago, and some of the lights are back on. So we're kind of in business. Somewhere on Earth.
Okay, fair enough. Somewhere on Earth, he is. No need to ask that, grasshopper. Fair enough. All right. All right. Let me ask you about this. An overview of the National Firearms Act, because there's some interesting stuff about the Shush Act. Silencers helping us save hearing. The goal is to have suppressed, and there's not really anything like a silencer. Let's dispel the Hollywood myth again, Doolin. This whole thing about that it sounds like an air rifle when they're shooting off rounds that's a movie thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. The tactical guys call them suppressors. We lawyers are stuck with silencer because that's the word they used in the statutes. But they're truly not silencers. They were invented by a guy named Hiram Maxim and his son to save hearing of soldiers right around the World War I era. The advent of the machine gun, they had a lot of soldiers going deaf, literally, from firing machine guns. And it turns out that the design is the basis for the car muffler. It's basically just a car muffler, if you think about it. It deadens the sound a little bit, but it's not completely silent. In fact, car mufflers work far more efficiently at this point in history than firearm silencers. The National Firearm Act itself was a big act of propaganda back in 1934.
And why do you say that? Why was it a big act of propaganda in 1934? I mean, I think I know why, but what's your answer?
Well, there was this was the time when Bonnie and Clyde and Dillinger and all the other famous gangsters, Al Capone,
yeah,
all those guys were making the news left and right because if it bleeds, it leads. The newspaper business hasn't changed, just gone electronic. So there was a ton of publicity. Machine guns were available in hardware stores across the country because the general rule is if something's not prohibited, it's allowed.
Right.
And so it turns out it's a great weapon if you want to rob a bank because it gets attention and people do what you say. So a lot of rounds were fired in a lot of crimes, but not that many people were actually killed.
A lot of noise.
The numbers, a lot of noise, exactly. Big noisemaker for the most part.
Right.
I mean, sure, there were some tragic deaths. In Bonnie and Clyde, it turns out old Clyde Barrow was pretty good with his and killed several people, including some police officers. But it made more news than it was blown way out of proportion. So it was seen as a public scourge, right? So they started out, let's do something about machine guns. And then they just started adding to the list of things we should do something about. And somehow silencers got on there because of this misconception, like you said, Hollywood, that somehow it would make you able to get away with crimes. No. And it turns out that they're big and clumsy and they change your point of impact and they're not perfectly silent, but they are really helpful for protecting hearing.
Yeah.
And so in Europe, actually, several countries require silencers. You can't buy a gun without one because it's a safety
places
device.
Where gun control is a lot more severe, you have to have one, is what you're telling me.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
So what's going to happen with
we're
the Shush
stuck
Act? What do you think happens to this piece of legislation by Senator Lee, Senator Marshall, Michael Cloud in the House putting this forward? What do you think?
We have high hopes that common sense will finally prevail after all these years. Almost 90 years later, or more than 90 years later. We hope that common sense will finally prevail, and we won't have to deal with paying an extra $200 tax and going through a registration waiting period just to buy a safety device for our guns. That's really the goal of the bill. It's in the Finance Committee right now because back in '34, they made the NFA a tax law. So it's a registry of who has paid the $200 tax on each silencer. And so the Finance Committee has it now in the Senate. We definitely have high hopes that there will be some backbone and some will to explain the facts to those members of the public who are worried and concerned that somehow crime is going to run rampant. Probably not the case.
Probably not the case, and yet hysteria, the crowd is still hysterical because it's guns, it's a silencer, and they've seen too many James Bond movies or whatever the movies are the kids watch these days. All right, Dylan, so what's the time frame on this then?
Well, we're not sure. Once something goes into committee, you just don't know for sure. But this is the sort of thing where if you are a responsible gun owner, and by the way, many of us own silencers because many of us bit the bullet and paid the $200.
Right.
And if we get a little bit active and talk to our representatives and our senators and let them know that we're not fooled by Hollywood and we think this is a great idea, we've got a better chance.
Well, there you go. Dylan, I wish you well in your wanderings wherever you're secretly hiding, and I appreciate you as always, my friend.
Thanks, Gruber. Always a pleasure.
There you have it. He now has a bit of power in his top secret location, Steve Doolin, secret agent man. I love it. I do. Still to come, Kat Kamik coming up. Congresswoman, Florida 3. And Ivy will be here as well. Gosh, it's like, how do we do it here? I think it's elves and magic, mostly. We'll be right back. John Fetterman, what is his condition? Here's, I mentioned it earlier, and I bring it to your attention now because, well, he's apparently having some issues. Meeting last week with representatives from teachers union in his home state when things got out of control. Before long, Fetterman was repeating himself, shouting and questioning, why is everybody mad at me? Why does everybody hate me? What did I ever do? Seriously, this is what's going on in these meetings. Staff member moved to the end, ushered the visitors in the hallway where she broke down crying. The staff are comforted by the teachers who were themselves shocked by Fetterman's behavior. The interaction at Fetterman's Washington office described to the Associated Press by two people who spoke about it came the day before New York Magazine published a story in which former staff and political advisors to Fetterman aired concerns about his general mental health. He's insane, is what they're telling us. He's insane. Anyhow, that's a problem for the people of Pennsylvania. It's a problem for the Democrats because they were told Dr. Oz was a bad choice. They elected Fetterman. He's not capable of doing the job. He's not capable of, which means if that blows up between now and, say, 2026 November, that would mean Democrats have to defend Minnesota, Michigan, New Hampshire, Georgia. Those are the ones they have to defend, right? There's 4 seats that are potential Republican pickups. 4 more. Republicans have 53 currently. They could add 2. They could add a couple. They could have 55 senators, and Chuck Schumer would be even more in the minority, wherever Chuck is these days. Anyhow, now you know. Now you know. This part of the program brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus, the mouth guard that stops concussions almost completely. NeuroGuardPlus.com. If you got somebody that's playing football or basketball or softball or whatever it is, soccer, I mean, whatever it might be, NeuroGuardPlus.com. Go there. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save some money on this. Don't get concussions. Keep your head in the game. Thank you, NeuroGuard Plus, for being the sponsor of this hour. We'll be right back. A very busy week. You know, every week is busy with Donald Trump. This week with the Pope being selected makes it even busier. Hard to believe, but this has been the busiest news cycle in a bit, and they're all busy. My next guest knows that very well because she works right there on the front lines in Congress. Congresswoman Kat Cammack of Florida joining me. Congresswoman, nice to see you today.
Hey, good to see you. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, it's been another blistering week. I mean, how do people keep up with Donald Trump? I mean, honestly, here's a guy who's 78 years old. He wears me out, and I'm just watching, right?
The short answer is that they don't. The man sleeps 4 hours. He's running circles around his 23-year-old, staffers in the White House. And it's a bit of a running joke up here on Capitol Hill that the man has endless energy. Doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, and I think his only vice is Diet Coke.
and Big Macs, Diet Coke and Big Macs. There you go. Yeah. All right, you've got some legislation going through here, and I want you to tell us to the folks. This is important. Google is not the 1,000-pound gorilla anymore because there are other options. Elon Musk saying, check out Grok before you go to Google. Don't Google it, Grok it, he says, and there's some truth to that. But pushing the App Store Freedom Act to limit Apple and Google's absolute control over all these apps. I mean, a person can live and die, financially speaking, as a business owner, if Apple or Google say yay or nay to an app, can't they?
Absolutely. This has kind of been the sleeping giant that a few, especially in the industry, have talked about, known about, been very frustrated with, but consumers are just really tuning in to the lack of competition in the space. And they're starting to ask questions, which is, I think, a good thing. You have a situation where if you buy an iPhone, it's your property, right? Well, Apple has the App Store, and you can't put another marketplace on your phone to download the apps. So one of the challenges that we have is, one, having that consumer choice available for people. Effectively, Google and Apple have an oligopoly on what people can choose from in terms of the apps that they have in those stores. The second thing is on the developer and the app side. You have to pay 30% gross profits of your company to Apple or Google, and that to me is just incredibly wrong. They then control your users' data, so the customers that utilize those apps. And Spotify is a very good example of this. People always wonder why you can't change your membership or doing a transaction through Apple or Google for Spotify. Well, it's because Spotify didn't want to turn over 30% of their profits, but more than that, they didn't want their customers' data to be housed with Apple, where they would have to go and ask permission in order to get their customers' data. So there's a lot of really interesting aspects to this. Many of the courts are stepping in, talking about how there's antitrust issues, there's competition, unfair competition that is taking place. So this is a common sense way that we can address the marketplace, getting back to the core principles of free markets. I think it's a good thing for consumers. I think it's a good thing for startups and apps. And for anyone who says, oh, well, Apple needs to be the sole entity that controls the marketplace for security, spare me. Any marketplace that is housing apps that are malware, spyware, like Temu, TikTok, give me a break. They can use that on someone else who will believe them. But I think this is a very exciting time for competition, especially in
Well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to have people that could freely enter the market, and either their product survived or failed based on the quality of the product, not on the size of the gorilla that they're fighting against that already has control of the market. And that's the way it's supposed to work. You know, great ideas, at least in my theory of America, are supposed to have a chance to make it to the marketplace. And that doesn't always happen. People get crushed, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is just lowering the barrier to entry, allowing people consumer choice, right, of what marketplace they want to use. They should be able to take the Apple Store off of their phone and download the marketplace of their choice. But currently, that's not the case. So this is reducing barriers to entry, fostering competition, and really, we all remember that infamous situation with Parler, the conservative social media app. Apple didn't like what they were doing, so they deplatformed them.
They smashed them.
And took their entire business with them. So that's the kind of power that no one should have. And so this is something to rectify a long time wrong.
I guess the good news for Parler is that they're back. They're trying to come back from, the grave, but it's a hard road back for sure. Now, I want to move on to something else here, maternal health, supporting the Preventing Maternal Death Reauthorization Act to reduce maternal mortality. What's this about?
You know, it's something that I've become more attuned to since finding out I'm expecting. I'm 6 months pregnant. And, when I found out back in December that I was expecting, I started, of course, reading more about the journey, the process. And when you're in that realm, you start to pick up on things that have been problematic. It was shocking to me to find out that maternal deaths in this country continue to go up instead of go down. We don't lead the world in terms of best health outcomes for mothers and their children. And to me, that is unacceptable. And along this journey, I've been finding a tremendous amount of issues in this space where, you've got health savings accounts that won't cover any of the doctor's appointments leading up to giving birth, insurance companies that play a ton of games. I can give you some pretty
Oh, I'm
stark
sure.
examples.
Right. It's time to.
mean,
We need to protect
it's
people.
pretty shocking.
Yeah. In fact, you've got your hands on all sorts of things. I got a whole list of things here that I would like to ask you about. I'm going to jump to NPR because look, NPR and PBS get a tremendous amount of money from me and you and all the taxpayers. Look, I don't get any money from the government. I have to sit out here and compete for viewership and advertisers, and I don't see that NPR and PBS should be treated any differently. And we spend a lot of money there that I think could be directed to something much more useful. What say you?
Well, you're 100% right, Steve. We spend almost $500 million to fund entities like NPR. And keep in mind, when NPR came about, there wasn't really a lot of options in the space to deliver information across the country. The landscape has changed dramatically. So the original mission set has changed. And then you just look at the unquestionable bias. When you have 87 of your 89 newsroom reporters that are registered Democrats, many of them are Democrat donors, that tells you everything that you need to know. So I don't think that they have proven that they can remain neutral and give a unbiased perspective. They've become effectively a propaganda wing for the Democrat Party. And if that's what they want to do, fine. You just won't do it on the taxpayer's dime.
I agree with that. We talked about how busy Donald Trump is. You're pretty busy yourself. And congratulations, by the way. You just say you're 6 months along. But government oversight, the REINS Act, Healthcare Savings, the Access Act, protecting women's sports, you're involved in all of these different things. And next time you come back, you'll have to spend a little bit more time because, well, that's all the time we have for today. Congresswoman Kat Kamick, I always appreciate seeing you. Thank you.
Hey, good to see you, Steve. And yes, REINS Act, most important bill to drain the swamp. We're going to get it through. Thanks for having me, and I hope you have a great weekend.
The REINS Act, thank you. The REINS Act, look it up, folks. If you're not familiar with it, would make Congress approve major new federal regulations and how it all works. Congresswoman, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you. It's Friday. We'll take a break and be right back. Man, it's chilly today. Frost freeze warnings. Mother's Day coming up on Sunday, of course. My mother is not with us anymore. So for those of you that, have mom around, make sure you reach out, say something pleasant. Even if you have differences with your mom, set them aside for a day. Pretty good advice. A beautiful spring here. Ivy's with me, by the way. She's joining me. There she is, the beautiful Ivy. I'm sure she'll be celebrated for Mother's Day, as she should be. Look, she runs this place. I mean, she wouldn't tell you, but I will. She runs everything. She is the protector, the nurse, the teacher, the chauffeur. What did you just put on your signature line?
Well, I thought it'd be clever to put Chief Everything Officer.
Well, I think that's exactly right. She's the CEO around here, the Chief Everything Officer. That's Ivy. That's a lot of moms, though, isn't it? I mean, moms, we need to tip our hats to them this weekend, don't we?
Absolutely. Moms do wear many hats, cook and clean and if you're, trying to have either a business owner or you're in a career, moms wear lots of hats, including being wives.
Well, the most important thing in this house, because I hear it all the time, Ivy, where is this? Where is that? For some reason, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything in the house, whether it's something that's just a hat sitting somewhere or something that's supposed to be somewhere or whatever it is. You just have an encyclopedic knowledge. I don't know if all moms are that way. You are. And I think it's terrific.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, though, because generally it's like that item is on the second shelf on the left-hand side, 2 things back. That's generally how I am, but
it's true.
Then it creates some dependency that maybe isn't so good.
So maybe, there might be truth to that. So say for me and the boy, we'll look a little bit. And we'll just say, Ivy, where is it? Well, did you even look? Well, yeah, of course I looked. And she's like, you didn't look. You just asked me where it is. Because you know. And you're right. There's dependency there. Codependency here in the house when we find anything that's missing. On top of that, I was telling people earlier here on the program, what a beautiful yard we have this time of year. I mean, it is just so spectacular. It's just booming right now. We have white flowers and purple flowers and pink flowers. Everything is in bloom in May at Camp Gruber. I love it. I think it's spectacular. Our previous owners of this house did a marvelous job making sure there's something blooming all year round, but I think May could be the best, potentially.
It is gorgeous. Yeah, we are blessed to live in such a beautiful place, and maybe we should put up a little video for folks so they can see what's blooming, and I think that would be lovely. We should do that.
I think that's a good idea, yeah. And you and I, we've been talking all week about getting out and going hunting for some morel mushrooms. We've got a good friend of ours, Pat the Mushroom Man in southern Michigan, whose exact location shall remain top secret. But he keeps sending us pictures, and we've got baseball. And then we had rain. And then our niece had her senior event. And so we keep getting, I'm kind of like, apparently God doesn't want me to pick a morel this year. I said that. You said that's not true. That's not true.
And what did he do? He delivered you 1 morel.
One.
So you're good.
Yesterday, I found 1 lonely morel out in the woods, very lonely.
I would say that you found a beautiful grouping of oyster mushrooms.
Oh, I did.
Which were incredible.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Ivy and I do spend a fair amount of time. We hunt, we fish. We'll be getting, and maybe even this weekend, except the gardening will be a little bit nutty because people will raid the garden shops. We love Van Atta's greenhouse, by the way. Just a quick shout out to a terrific greenhouse just outside of Lansing. They are wonderful. But we'll be planting stuff, and so we do go out. And I got this I'm going to put a picture of this up on social media, too. This terrific, as she said, it's a yellow oyster. It's actually an invasive species. But I guess invasive species always in the eye of the beholder because rainbow trout are invasive species, and we like to see those on the end of our line now, don't we?
Hey, we sure do. We sure do.
Yeah.
And foraging is awesome. Get out there, get a little instruction manual, what to pick, what not to pick, what to eat, what not to eat. Ramps are also starting to pop all over, and make sure you don't harvest too many of those. But
yeah, I think we're a little late in the ramp season. We're going to have to get out with our shovel. If we're going to do it, we got to do it this weekend. Ramps, and by the way, for people that know what a ramp is, it's basically a wild onion, wild leek, some people call it. It's like, but it has this this aroma and this flavor that's like a combination between garlic and onion. I think it's just a remarkably wonderful thing. Creates a little bit of air, but it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're awesome. They're great to cook with. They're great to saute, put in things, put in soups. They're just incredible. If you don't know what they are, I would recommend checking them out. But I would just say make sure you don't harvest too many at one time. You know, better
Be
to allow
sustainable.
the
Be
be
sustainable.
sustainable.
Yeah. Oh, and our beehives are going in shortly. So our bees did not survive last year. Brother Shane is our beekeeper. No fault of his. They just didn't thrive for some reason. Sometimes it's sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But we enjoy all that. We have chickens and we grow tomatoes and peppers and potatoes, and we'll have honey this time around. Plus, we'll take a couple of deer every year. We interact with the environment a lot, and I think I'm reminded of that when you walk out in the yard. It's just an explosion of color. It reminds me of how fortunate we are to live in God's world, and we have all these opportunities.
I agree, Steve. That's such well put. I mean, we didn't. I was just thinking about this though. We didn't get to the dumbest thing I heard all week.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, what was yours? What did you hear?
There were 3 of them, and they all came from the same person. Jasmine Crockett, and then Jasmine Crockett. I mean, she is a gift that just gives to the Republicans every week. Dumbest thing I've heard. She's talking about
really
how...
quickly, before we run out of time, what are your thoughts on this whole Letitia James situation? Because, she's out there.
She's in real
They're
trouble.
coming after me.
No, she's in real trouble because she did. I've seen the paperwork. Laura Loomer, any given day is right or wrong, but on this one, I think she's got it right, which is she's got the paperwork of mortgage fraud. But here's the thing that really irritated people. Dumbest thing I've heard all week. The state of New York snuck into their budget bill a little provision so that Letitia James' legal fees would be paid for by the taxpayers of the state of New York. It was in the New York Post yesterday. It's unbelievable. There's the dumbest thing you've heard all week. Ivy, I got to leave it there.
The people of New York should be outraged.
Yeah. Love you.
Love you.
I'll take a quick break and be back with some final Well, the new book is coming out here. The new book is coming out here from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson next week. And apparently it is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb for the Democrat Party, because it's going to expose all the lies about Joe Biden being perfectly fine. Right? By the way, I've got a bite of Joe Biden from The View yesterday. Listen to this real quick.
And it was like 2016 all over again. Yeah. So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. Right. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race.
Yeah, that's right. A woman of mixed race is why she lost. No, she was incompetent, just like you, sir. And again, that book's coming out from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson next week. Democrats are going to be exposed for hiding the failures of Joe Biden over many years. And they're going to be exposed for trying to tell you with a straight face that Joe Biden was capable of serving another 4 years, which was never true. He wasn't capable of serving the first 4. Hello, Auto Pen. Can you sign this hall pass for me? I mean, the stories of Joe Biden wandering around the White House at all hours of the night, disrobed. I mean, this is not new reporting, folks. And it might just be in the book that comes out next week from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. Dishonest people, by the way, Jake Tapper, who was part and parcel to covering it all up. But, well, we'll see how this turns out. Fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America, my friends. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.